Welcome back, Neil. The South African unemployment rate is close to a 15-year high at 27%, with youth unemployment at 52%. As Investment Summit aimed at addressing such challenges in the country kicks off today, there's another relief for millions of unemployed South Africans and struggling in the economy. The Jobs Fund has injected 100 million rands into the unemployment accelerator project called Haarambe. To find out more on how the deal came about and how it will benefit unemployed South Africans, we're now joined in the studio by Jobs Fund head Najwa Alli-Edries. Najwa, thank you so much for making the time. Let's just backtrack a bit to the Jobs Summit and how the decisions taken there recently will feed into the investment conference that's currently underway.
I think that at the Job Summit, we heard about high levels of unemployment. We heard that we needed to do things differently. We heard that we needed innovation. We heard that we needed to crowd in more investment towards job creation. And so this particular initiative with this partnership with Haarambe is doing just that. We, the Jobs Fund, are going to be making available 100 million rand, and in addition to that, Haarambe and its partners, private sector partners, are going to invest 148 million rand. Together, that funds are going to be used to identify specific employers who are ready to receive those young people, to provide technical training, on-the-job training, work readiness training, a bit of an internship, but more importantly, at the end of that process, that young person will be placed into a job.
How will we be able to track whether that investment has returns on it and these young people or people going into the workspace actually are productive?
So one of the things that is really innovative around this Haarambe accelerator is that they really understand what the needs are of employers. So often our growth has been constrained because we don't have the right skill set that employers are looking for. With this youth accelerator and this partnership, the specific needs of employers will be understood, and these young people will be trained to provide those specific skills. For example, higher level skills within the BPO sector, digital jobs, more complex jobs, understanding what it takes to perform on the job. So these young people will be given that on the job experience as well as that technical training that relates to their job, which means that when they are placed with the employer, they are more likely to stay, and in that way reduce the cost of employment and also de-risks the employment decision for the employer.
Unemployment doesn't only relate to the technical sector, it also relates to the informal sector where people don't necessarily have skills. What sort of initiatives have you got for that sector of the economy?
One of the initiatives that we do have within the informal sector is working with spaza shop owners. It's an initiative that we've partnered with A2Pay, and essentially they provide a technology platform that spaza shop owners install into their spaza shops, and it allows them to track their stock and increase their turnover and revenue. But in addition to that, it also allows spaza shop owners to have additional sources of revenue by making available prepaid services.
Yeah. A conversation about employing people also includes a conversation about remuneration. How are you having a conversation with NEDLAC at all in terms of the minimum wage conversations that are taking place with the Department of Labour?
So in respect of the projects that we do support, the Jobs Fund always insists that our employers or our Jobs Fund partners who are creating those jobs, that the salaries and the wage that must be paid must at least be the minimum wage. This of course has been a challenge within the agriculture sector, but in addition to, simply our partners have stepped up and are more willing to pay that minimum wage.
Yeah. Above the Haarambe project, what other projects does the Jobs Fund have, and how can you call on the South African community to get involved in this project?
Well, for example, the President had just at the Investment Summit spoken about Mercedes-Benz investing 10 billion rand. Mercedes-Benz is willing to do that because the Jobs Fund partnered with Mercedes-Benz in the Eastern Cape, building a learning academy, and in that way preparing the youth of that region to be able to step up and do the work required by Mercedes-Benz and others in the sector.
What are your biggest challenges up to now that you're facing in terms of making sure that the economy creates jobs?
I think that having employers understand that even though our education outcomes and has not been what they might be expecting, young people, if you use different types of tests, if you look for attitude, if you look for aptitude, they actually can be employed.
Yeah.
And so just demystifying for employers what it takes to actually employ a young person, and that they are capable, even though that matric certificate is not a good indicator, are capable of doing the job.
Najwa, how is the Jobs Fund interacting with the investment conference?
So at the moment we are interacting with the conference through our partners. Many of our partners are at the investment conference and are pledging to make additional funds available. But more importantly, those partners already have very practical programs that we are supporting and getting youth into employment.
It's a big job. We have our viewers who are watching now, and it's a constant conversation. We are jobless. We don't have access to health. How can we break this conversation down to the viewer in a way that reassures them that come a certain time, South Africans will be sufficiently employed?
I think that firstly, we do need to do the right things in respect of stimulating demand for new jobs in the economy. And in that way, we must create a climate that is conducive to both local and foreign investment. We need to have a regulatory framework that encourages that. And importantly, we also need to ensure that within our education system that we do train people in the right skills that are a good match for what employers are looking for.
Najwa Alli-Edries is the head of the Jobs Fund, and she was talking to us about the Haarambe project within their calendar of projects that they hope to use to create jobs in South Africa. Thank you so much for your time. Blaine?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Des. Let's further this conversation now.